Hello and welcome back to another episode of FlightSim Alaska. I'm Dave. Today we are sitting in Kenai, Alaska, pointed south down the runway of the Kenai Municipal Airport. We're going to take off here. I thought what we'd do today is we'd head over to Skilak Lake, which is in the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge. Now, we're flying the Icon A5 today, which is an amphibious plane that'll allow us to take off from a municipal strip like this and then also land in a lake. So give me a second to get us up in the air, and then I'll come right back. So here we are climbing at a comfortable rate at this point, headed towards the Kenai River, just off to our left. We're going to pass over that, heading south, sort of towards Soldotna, and we're going to swing a little south of Soldotna as we head towards Skilak Lake. If we look to our right, we should see, let's have a look. Yeah, there it is, Mount Redoubt Volcano. That volcano is about 9,000 feet tall across Cook Inlet here. It is an active volcano. The last time it erupted was in 2009, March 2009. I was living in Wasilla at the time and do remember getting the notifications that the volcano is going to erupt. You never know what's going to happen. A lot of times, and I feel like most of the time that this has happened in my lifetime since growing up here is it's just an ash plume and things kind of shut down for a day or two, but then everything's back to normal after a minute. So that's pretty cool. Again, I said this in the last video, but I'll say it again. This volcano most of the time just looms over the Kenai and Soldotna area. When you're driving in from the east, you just really see it in the sky. The sim doesn't do it justice, but I'm glad to see that it looks so good right here. So that's that. Now we're flying over the Kenai River. This is where it comes into the Upper Cook Inlet here. This is the very productive salmon river. Every year, thousands and thousands of local Alaskans come down here to catch sockeye salmon in dip nets to fill their freezer. According to the Alaska Department of Fish and Game, nearly 2 million fish this year and last year came up into this river to spawn. Now, I'm not clear if that's actually just the escapement, what made it past our fishermen, or what was coming into the river, the total run size. But 2 billion, that's a lot of darn fish. It's not going to be a whole lot less than that. So we're coming over bits of Kenai here, heading towards the south.
Kenai Tower Icon Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra frequency change.
Cool. With that, I think we're done with air traffic control for today. In real life, you wouldn't do that, but it's a game. We can get away with it. So, again, a few things about Kenai. Its name, according to the Dena'ina Topical Index by Jim Carey, a very distinguished anthropologist and linguist who I've had the very good fortune to meet, given that he's a very old man, but he's also a very remarkable man. But he said that this is derived from the Dena'ina word ken or kenna, meaning flat, and this pretty much fits the bill. Kenai is also the home to the Kenaitze people, and you might imagine that Kenai, Kenaitze, it's all conflated, and it is, but it's not exactly clear how, in my mind, and I haven't found a good source on that. It says it comes from Russian traders, which is probably in the late 1700s, meaning people of the flats or people of the plains or something along these lines. I tend to think it's a mix-up of the people of the flats. The ending is probably Russian, but the Ken, that the beginning part, is probably the Kenaitze part, all mixed up. Kind of see that in this area, up in Upper Cook Inlet, where the Dena'ina Athabascan words get mixed up with English or Russian. A lot of Russian influence. They don't call themselves the Kenaitze. I mean, they call themselves Kenaitze tribe. That's who they are, but they actually call themselves the Hatnu Hatnana Dena'ina, and I butchered that a little bit, and it doesn't matter how many linguists I talk to. There's at least one person I know personally who would be able to sort me out, that even if he explained it to me, I'd still kind of get it wrong. So that's some of the interesting demography of the area. Other things, there's about 12,000 people that live in this area, some 7,500 I think in Kenai, and around 4,500 here in Soldotna, which are coming over right now. That little waypoint there, that gauge strip, is just a local strip. The actual Soldotna strip here is just off to our, let's say, 11 o'clock position, is kind of hidden right now. So we're going to kind of come past that. I'm doing this all visually, so I want to use landmarks that I know to fly towards Skilak Lake, which is out here. You can see it there, 11 o'clock, I guess. That's Skilak Lake. It's the second largest of the three very large lakes on the Kenai Peninsula, and those are Tustamina Lake, which is the largest, and there's Skilak Lake, and then there's Kenai Lake, which is sort of this cool zigzag thing. And we're going to do Kenai Lake in the next video, I think. Unfortunately, I've been out there a few times in the sim, and unfortunately, it's a little underwhelming in how it was dealt with. So we're a little further north than I was hoping to be. So I'm going to just go ahead and tip. Maybe just check to see how we're doing. We're still doing all right. There we go. So there's the airstrip there for Soldotna. I didn't even know Soldotna had an airstrip here. I expected they did, but it looks pretty big from the air. What I'm really triggering off of here, though, is this big building under my cursor. That's Fred Meyer. I've been there, and I know where that's at in relation to the road, the highway. The highway's here. That's the Sterling Highway. And just past the Fred Meyer here, it's kind of hard to see from this angle, but there's an intersection just past that where you can turn right and go towards Kenai. That's Kenai Spur Highway. Or you can go ahead and continue south over a bridge. Let's tip and see that bridge. There's a bridge over the Kenai River. And that would take us towards Homer. And we're going to do Homer in a much later video. And we're going to kind of come around, you know, sort of long ways. So this is Soldotna right here. Not a whole lot to say about it beyond that. It's named for Soldotna Creek. Based on the name itself, makes me feel like, again, it's a mashup of Russian and Dena'ina words. Na is frequently used as water body in certain dialects, but so is Nu. So that's the ending you'd see on the end of different names for water body. I don't know that much about it. I do know people who do, and I should probably pick their brains about it a little bit harder. And I do have my language books for Dena'ina. I've got a couple of them, and I need to study them harder. I'm just going to put it like that. So here's our Soldotna Airport. I might land in there one day just because. Again, looking at the Kenai River. Very, very productive fishery. Once upon a time, this river was full of these Kenai kings that were just enormous fish. Very popular, prized fish for harvesting as prized fish because they're just so big. But I cannot remember the last time it was legal to take a king out of this river. And the kings, of course, are Chinooks. If you're not familiar with that. And those things would be 60 inches long. I mean, just enormous fish. Yeah, the Chinooks pretty much across the state are in pretty bad shape. And, you know, I don't really know why. I try to keep up on this stuff, but I feel like I'm just I'm a data guy. You know, I can't always pay attention to what's going on with the biology of it, but I suspect it has to do with climate and overfishing historically and some other factors that, you know, that I'm just not up on. So again, we're flying over the Kenai Peninsula here. We're looking north towards Anchorage. Over here, that's Mount Susitna, which is west of Anchorage. We're really not that far south of Alaska's largest city. And again, we're kind of just going over the Kenai River here, following the Sterling Highway, which goes east towards the cutoff that could bring us north towards Anchorage or south towards Seward. And we're just going to continue following that. So just let this slide by for a minute here while we head towards Skilak Lake. So here we are a little bit closer to Skilak Lake. I think at this point I want to point some things out. So here we've got the Kenai River flowing from the east into the west. Now up here, that's Moose River, and there's some campgrounds in here, and that's a good fishing spot in here. There's a bridge over that. That's pretty cool stuff. We're also heading towards the Funny River and the Kili River. The Funny River is the one closer to us, and the Kili River is interesting. It's the next one out. It actually comes in as a single river and then forks. And you can kind of see those out ahead of us here. I'm pretty sure what we're looking at right now is, I think this here is the Funny River, and then over here further up is the Kili River, which forks this way, and there's another fork that heads further to the east. One of the things I'd like to point out here is all through this area, and this is the Sterling area. I kind of wanted Sterling to be a community to point out and say, that's Sterling right there. But it's really more of a CDP, a census-designated place. It stretches basically from the edge of Soldotna way back behind us, almost to the edge of the where the Kenai River comes out of Skilak Lake here. This area has been afflicted by a lot of forest fires, certainly in my memory, in the last 30 years, 40 years. In this area, you'd expect to see a lot of burn if you flew over. Some of these burns are old and maybe it doesn't look quite as bad as it used to, but my recollection of driving through here is that you get a lot of patches of forest fire. And this is true also for this south side of Skilak Lake, which we're heading to right now. Boy, that sure looks good, doesn't it? I believe is the Funny River here, and I think this other one is the Kili River. I've honestly never been over this. I just kind of know the place names, and looking at it from this direction it's really different for me. And of course, the Kenai River here still. But what we're heading over right now is a place I do know was burned somewhat recently, like in the last 15 years, maybe longer than that actually. I honestly don't remember anymore. But the last time I went out to Skilak Lake on the North Shore here, some friends and I went camping, and that's the only time I've ever been. I think it was at this campsite here on our left-hand side. You can see it here. When we get closer, I suspect we won't actually see a campsite. But this on this side is all burnt out, and it's a good place to go mushroom hunting, according to a couple we met there. And I have no reason to doubt that there's still a lot of burn in this area. And it looks like from here, maybe there's some of that rendered in, but I sort of doubt it. It just seems unlikely to me that the sim is gonna figure that kind of thing out. I mean, it does render the entire world. What I wanted to do was maybe skim by the campsite that I stayed at, and there's actually two. There's a lower and upper, and we're aimed right now at the lower campground, and this is part of the Kenai National Wildlife Refuge, and this is the one I stayed at. There's nothing there but campsites. There's a boat launch here, and then a bathroom. I think that's what you got, which is pretty good. And this is also full of a lot of logging area, and I don't know if there's burnout or not, but I do know there's logging. We came through there to look for some firewood and had a lot of logged out areas we stopped at, which I feel like is kind of represented with some of these patches of look kind of like grasslands. We're just kind of coming down here. I want to skim that, but I want to land closer to this ridge here. Now, this lake is fed by the Skilak River, which is sort of fed by the Skilak Glacier. We're going to fly up there next video. And this is the Kenai River, comes out of here, and then just on the other side of this ridge. Now, this lake is about 15 miles long and about 4 miles wide, 500 feet-ish, maybe 520 at its deepest. It's a very popular local recreation spot because it is accessible by the road. You can actually, we're pointed right now at the boat launch and the road. And one of the other cool features about this lake, and I sort of hope we can get close enough without crashing, is that its color. It's this brilliant turquoise blue. Looking at it from here, it just looks like regular water blue you might expect flying over any part of the universe. But when you look at it differently, it's from a different angle, it's just this great turquoise color, the whole lake. And you see that frequently with glacial fed lakes in the state, certainly in the south central region that I'm familiar with. You also sometimes get these slate gray lakes as well, depending upon water conditions and that kind of stuff. But this lake is one that's the brilliant turquoise, and it's just gorgeous. It's really remarkable. Let's see if I can maybe get down a little closer to the water here. Just have a look and see what that turquoise stuff looks like here. And this water, this lake is not particularly high above sea level. Maybe 400 feet, I think. Oh yeah, so you can see that turquoise color. The silt from the glacier. It does render in, and that is very legitimately what a glacial fed lake looks like in the state. It's very, very remarkable. So we're coming in quick here, way too fast actually. And see, from here we don't really see the campground, which is a bit of a drag. We kind of saw it from the air. Let's speed up and just maybe skim the water. This aircraft. Try not to crash it. But this is a beautiful place to go camping. Very quiet. If you've never been camping in Alaska, one of the great things about it is that it's so quiet. You get boats and things that come by, and aircraft flying by and that sort of thing. But in general, you get your birds, but there's no crickets and there's no frogs usually that are making a lot of noise. And so you come out here and you just hear this very soothing lapping of the water, and it's great. It's a very good time. Throw out a fishing pole, maybe get a fish, maybe not, doesn't matter. It's lovely. I can't say enough about it. And the mountains here look super true to life. They're really more jagged in real life, but this is pretty true. And the snow up there, you can see that's pretty true to life in the springtime. In the fall time, you get dusting. As it comes down, it dusts down the mountain and then builds up. It doesn't. That's the melting sort of look of the mountains in the spring. But it still looks super authentic from my perspective. So I just want to come in here and get a little closer to that ridge over here, and that's I think where we're gonna put down with this icon. Look to the left here. Oh, look at that. That's super lovely. And there's nothing here. You can see this is, this is open wilderness for the most part. There's logging in here. There's hunting in here. People just come and hang out and do their thing, and it's a gem. It really is. And Alaska's full of places like that. With that. Again, that turquoise water, and again on the beach here, or just outside of the beach, where you sort of get this bright turquoise color. That's pretty legitimate too. It really does look like that in real life. It's pretty amazing. I've not flown over this like this in real life. I've driven into lakes like this, and I've driven into this lake, but never had the opportunity to fly over. I really only know one person with an aircraft, a general aviation aircraft, that could fly us out here, but I don't even know if people really land on this lake too often. One of the big problems with these big glacial fed lakes, particularly up against the mountains, is that frequently the weather will change super rapidly, and they're really dangerous to visit on any kind of craft at all. Even if you go out in a canoe, it's kind of taking your life in your own hands. You need something kind of larger to deal with it if it's the weather changes on you. All right, I think we're going to put down just here. There's another campsite here just on this side of the ridge, but again, it doesn't really show. It shows from the air a little bit, but once you get closer, nothing turns up, and that's fine. Let's go ahead and drop our altitude a little bit. I love how the water looks here. Super looks like an authentic lake to me. I really like it. All right. All right, so here we go. Ooh, I think we're coming a bit fast. All right. Let's go ahead and put this down real gently. There we go. I guess we just let it run out at this point. There's no way to break it in the water. Just kind of let it do its thing, slow down, and so I think this is where I'm going to end this video. Fairly short flight. Next video, we're going to head up towards Skilak Lake and around towards Cooper Landing there on the Kenai River. So if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you want to see the rest of it coming to you, and if you want to know when it's coming out, hit that notification button. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thanks.